Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you having us on here today. If you'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Look forward to doing this panel with Jessica. It's an honor. So looking to get a lot out of this. So thanks for having us on here. So what we're going to go over from agenda standpoint today is we're going to go over setting the stage up of how you kind of start the conversation, more than most importantly, the follow-up of it, and then tracking the progress of those referrals. So if you can kind of go to the next slide. All right, so Jessica, I'm going to turn this over to you here on how you're providing value first.
Yeah, so I like to look at providing value first two different ways. First of all, most times for myself, and everybody's business structure is different in how you receive your leads, but I would say the majority of my leads, two places: one, referral partners, which are my realtors, and also my past database. So my clients that I have worked with previous. So receiving a lead from either one of them, it means a lot to me, obviously. And so providing value first, whenever I get it, especially that lead comes from the realtor, I definitely am be like, well, who referred you? How did you find out about me? And if they would say, Patrick Cagney's one that I work with a lot. Oh, Patrick sent me. Oh my goodness, I love Patrick. He's amazing. You are in great hands with Patrick. So I definitely talk up and give value to the referral partner that that lead came from. So I think letting them know that not only are you appreciative to Patrick, but also that they're in great hands, talking them up. Then once that phone call's over, then I call Patrick and let him know, hey, had a great conversation, and I let him know that they are in great hands working with you. So it's just solidifying that realtor and that relationship even more. And then also when I get a lead from a past client, then I will reach out to that client and it's another opportunity for me to touch base with them and see how they're doing, and to thank them for always thinking of me. And it keeps me top of mind with them continuing. And somebody, when they are shown appreciation, they want to keep showing that appreciation. When they know that they're being thanked, they want to keep on doing that. So it's important that we give back to who gives to us. And then the other part is providing the value hey, you don't know me, I don't know you, you only know a little bit from whoever referred you to me, but go on, check on my Google reviews and check me out on Instagram and see the credibility that I've had with other home buyers, and that's one of the ways that I show the value.
Good. Yeah, no, that's a good way of going at it and bringing them something and showing them that it's trusted relationship, and your real estate agent wouldn't have referred you over to me if they weren't putting you in good hands. So absolutely. Kind of leading into that of establishing the relationship, which continues with that conversation of once you're on the phone with them. One thing that I'm always a numbers first kind of person, so I always like to kind of dive into what are you used to paying for rent? Say if it's a first time home buyer, what are you used to paying for rent? Are you able to, save money while paying rent? Because we don't want to make your payment go up. Needless to say, if you're not able to save with what you are right now, maybe there's a different plan. But the bigger thing that I always kind of get into is really outside of our loan application, is really talking about like for me, I had a son that played travel hockey. So that was always an expense that, of course, wouldn't show up as a DTI calculation on it. But if I know that they have kids, we just kind of talk about, like, do they play sports? Do they do dance? Like now I've got a daughter that does cheerleading. So it's kind of like, what other expenses do you have that are actually not showing up on your credit report? And finding something you can associate with them through either kids or sports or something along that line, and finding out like how much does it really cost you to go do that travel sport. Usually it's kind of funny. It usually averages about $10,000 a year. So you break that down to about $833 a month, going, all right, this is something that's an expense, because we don't want to put you into a more stressful situation because you're buying a house or you're looking at buying that second home, because we don't want to change your lifestyle, because that's what keeps the family happy. So, establishing that relationship is always trying to find something outside of the 1003, outside of the DTI that we can connect with. That's something from a value standpoint of looking out for their best interest. So that's just kind of something that I do to help establish that relationship outside of the application. How about you? Got anything on that to add to that, Jessica?
No, you're exactly right. I always ask them, what is a comfortable monthly payment for you? Because I can max you out in your pre-approval, but that number may not look the same as what your wants, needs, and desires, what that lifestyle looks like. And so that's exactly what I do as well. I want to know where, for a lot of people, they like to know, but what could I be maxed out at, for that pre-approval? But then let's be realistic, and what is that comfortable monthly payment? I don't want them out looking at $400,000 homes and I've had this before, looking at $400,000 homes when really they're only approved up to 150,000. And they only want that payment around 150,000. So setting those realistic expectations, they learn to trust you through that.
Yeah. And that's really the value of it, is really being real with them and establishing that relationship and those kind of things. And so after you've done all that and you've got to that point, what is how do you go at setting the stage for a referral? What's your process?
Well, at the end of every single conversation, I always let them know, hey, if you have any friends, family, coworkers that are looking to buy, sell, or refinance, I appreciate you thinking of me. You're great, and I love to work with great people. So I'm sure your acquaintances are too. So I always end the conversation, end the call with that, and sometimes they end up finishing that for me and laugh about it, but they're fine with it. But also, I will let them know during the process at the beginning, hey, I'm looking to get, a Google review from you. I would appreciate that, and it helps my team to become better. And so if you can just be honest with me, let me know, rate us, let us know, but please go on and do the Google review. Unfortunately, I'm having to rebuild that now because the company that I came from kept that previous one. So all those years, I'm now in the rebuilding phase. So those Google reviews are important. But yeah, I will definitely make sure to ask them. And I am intentional with that. And I think Brian mentioned the scientific term about that is, and I don't recall what the name was, but it's true that if, we're Jeep, me and my husband are Jeep people. So we're going to be on the market again to be buying a Jeep here soon. And we're looking for a specific color. And guess what? All of a sudden, that's all we see on the highway driving is that specific color of that Jeep that we want. Same thing when you are with home buyers, if you're in the home buying mindset, that's who you run into. That seems who you attract. And so if you can just constantly keep yourself top of mind to your clients, show your value, then referrals do come from that.
No. And Brian, thank you so much for the reticular activator.
That's what it is. Yes, thank you. I actually
Yes.
was going to reach out to you, Brian, for that name because I was telling a client about it. So
No, it's true. It's like, hey, if you're gonna go, if I go from the perspective, hey, while you're looking at houses, you probably, especially first time home buyers, their friends.
Mhm.
It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses. Well, if so and so is growing up and going to go buy a house, I need to go buy a house. So it's always about just reminding them that their friends and family, are going to be looking about the same time that they are, if not soon after, because everybody wants to kind of follow the crowd. And it's a big thing of I always like to say that it's, I'm by referral only. We don't advertise. So please make sure you share my information, just kind of setting that stage that, we're by referral only. And I think that is really a key to that, is reminding them that this is how we survive and how we live, is just by word of mouth, because that's the most important part.
Yeah, and two things to add to that real quick is that I just left a closing this morning that the guy is on a softball team, and him and another guy are the only ones that own a home, but they're all in that home buying age. They're like first time home buyer. And I'm like, do you need a sponsor for that team?
There you go. There
I would
you
love,
go.
so it's just, that's through talking and getting to know them and talking about, like you mentioned, the sports and things, all of that can come out of that as well, too. So now I am targeting that whole softball team, because I know they're together, play 3 times a week. So I will find my way into that.
Yeah, no,
So,
you brought a great point. That's one thing guys, is, I mean, you brought that up, and I've always, it's more of a branding thing than an ROI, but sponsoring your kids' sports, the jerseys, being there, talking with all the parents. I mean, I've picked up lots of transactions because I sponsored when Jacob was younger, sponsored a soccer team. All the kids are running around. They all got your name on it or the company. So it's easy conversation, and it just leads to that branding. And thinking back over the years, I mean, I've done 2 or 3 loans for the coach at this point through the last 10, 15 years. So, all right, well, let's jump on. I know we're burning through some time here, but all right, following up, turn it over to you, Jessica.
Yeah, so following up is a big deal in my business practices. Referral partners, and I'll just go down the list here, but referral partners, whenever a lead is given, I am making sure, as I mentioned before, I'm reaching out to whoever provided that lead. And when you touch the lead, you touch the partner. So whenever I'm talking to the client, I do a lead intake call, then I am right away reaching out to the referral partner, thanking them, giving them our time frame, what we can kind of expect, and letting them know that once I receive that application in, that I will be following up with them. And so that is very important. And pre-approved clients during the home search, especially now in this market. I have some clients that have been looking for well over a year right now. I have a guy yesterday I talked to, he's been looking for 15 months. So making sure to stay on top of your pre-approved clients, because you better believe that there's other lenders out there that are trying to take the business. And if they're feeling frustrated with the market, sometimes the frustration can lead towards you as the lender or as towards the agent. So I always make sure, like, I will give a call one week, another week I'll use the Reach app and send out to all my pre-approved clients. I might send like a different meme or something funny, about the market or whatever, but just staying on top of it. And too, as these rates fluctuate, making sure that if you have a client maxed out with that pre-approval amount and the rates are fluctuating, you might need to double check those numbers too. With the agents buying and selling and those loans in process, every week through our team, I tell them you get 2 for 1, because you're getting constant, the automatic updates that when an appraisal is received or the title's back, things like that. But then you're also going to hear from myself as well as a weekly check-in. And that is just building the relationship, building the trust. It's just an excuse to give a call. And so I get a lot of business from listing agents, and that is proven to help by those phone calls. And then client database, I think that this is something that is so overlooked, but we have a gold mine in our database. I make sure on a weekly basis I set aside 2 afternoons to where I am tapping into my clients, the database, and calling. I ask for the business. I ask how their current insurances, if they have insurance. I think this was just on a call yesterday or the day before, but talking about the past database. That is something that is big for me, and I will make sure that I'm, even on their birthdays or anniversaries, reaching out to them and staying in touch with the client database. When there's babies born, I celebrate that in different ways and sending gifts, and I stay involved in their life. And that with that, just like today, I have a call for one of my buyers that he's actually closing on his second house with me on Tuesday, and I got a call from his brother today to get pre-approved, and he's going to look at a house this afternoon. So that's part of being part of the follow-up, but also the relationship that you build with your clients.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. The client database is huge. I know yesterday on the sales huddle we talked about, look at your phone, how many contacts you have. And it's the same thing with your database of all your closed clients, that, if you've got 1,000 past clients, as long as 1% of them are doing something on a monthly basis, that, I mean, there's your 10 loans that you can basically do on a monthly basis. One thing that I have always done since day one is send out a quarterly newsletter. It goes out every single quarter, no matter what. And again, just kind of tells what's going on with, inside the company with us, what's going on with the family, that kind of stuff, letter to the heart, but also has, market knowledge, but also some little goofy things in it. But it's always in there. It's just asking for that referral, just staying in front of them. Just no matter how long, I've been doing that for 20 years. There's still people that reach out that still get it. Some people still check their mail, not their email, and still reach out. Like, I've been getting your newsletter for 15 years, and now we're ready to do something, or my kid's ready to do something at this point. So it's just mining that database, like you said. I mean, it's huge. The follow up, follow up, follow up. I mean, that really is the differential between
Yes.
being good and being great, essentially. Is the follow up, whether it's phone calls or whatever.
Yeah, staying efficient with that, because then not only that, once you talk to someone in your database and they're like, hey, yeah, we're outgrowing the home, or we're thinking about moving, or they're so, excited to tell you everything that they've done with the house, then I'm calling the agent that helped, purchase that home, giving them the update like, hey, so and so may be looking to move in about 6 months. Well, guess what? Now you're building your referral partner database there too, and that relationship with them, because you've just given them, because agents do not do a good job of calling back or following up. And I tell them, I'm the one calling them to say, hey, touch base with them, and I mean, these are very good agents, but they don't do a good job. So when we're in the database, and that's one thing that I always let my referral partners know, I will stay on top of with our clients. And so when I come back to them and I'm able to give them another opportunity for, to reach out to their clients, that's just securing that relationship with that referral partner as well.
Yep. No, 100%. Sean, if you'll go to the next one, I saw Andy just threw a question out there, which will kind of lead into this. So, of course, we've worked really hard at this point to, set the stage, stay in contact with them. Now it's a matter of how do we track all this and look at the metrics and the data. So, needless to say, there's, hundreds of CRMs out there. I personally use Jungo. What do you use, Jessica?
I have Monday.com.
Okay.
Is what I use for that. I also have a phone dialing software that I use, but for my database, I use Monday.
Okay. Yeah, there's lots of them out there, and some of them are super complicated, and it takes somebody to do it, and some of them are super easy. I mean, I've heard of like Purple Dot. I mean, there's multiple ones of them that are out there, but definitely you have to have that CRM in place to be able to input your leads, because really what it boils down to at the end of the day is like, all right, if I've got 25, 30 agents that I'm working with, they give me X amount of leads, how many deals are they actually closing with them? Because you've got to track what's coming in and what's going out, and what's actually, somebody's not wasting your time, or are they giving you all the stuff that somebody else can't do, so you can re-educate them on like, look, I don't mind spending time with you and doing these things, but let's have a relationship and let's have a conversation here, because everybody's time is valuable. So one thing that I go into, it's what's called an accounts pyramid. And Jessica, I shared this with you on basically it boils down to where my job is to make sure that I have a relationship with the account, that we're doing 10 plus transactions or more a year. That's really my goal, is I'm trying to have 3 to 5 agents constantly on an annual basis that I'm closing 10 or more transactions with. If we are from 4 to 9, so I've got like what I call a channel account, because those are main accounts, which are 10 or plus more transactions per year. From 4 to 9, those are just called my accounts. And then from 1 to 3, those are kind of prospects. So the whole point about this is that you're trying to make sure that you've got a good relationship and try to move them up the pyramid, essentially, to where you can have those 3 to 5 agents that are sending you, at least 10 transactions a year. That's a good way of building a business, of having agents that are sending you constant business. Because think about it, if if you can get 10 agents, and that's really 10 deep relationships, they're giving you, 10 transactions a year, you're averaging 8 loans a month just from those 10. That's a pretty good business model. So, but the only way of understanding that is you've got to track the data. You've got to analyze it. You've got to figure out, who is giving me great, a number. Let's just take an example. If I've got an agent that's giving me 30 leads last year and we closed 2, well, that's not a good agent. That's as a kind of not really saying, it's a conversation that I like to have, and it's a hard conversation. It's not a me, it's a you conversation that I spend a lot of time and don't really get much from you. Maybe we should not have a relationship here, and you maybe have a better loan officer to deal with than me. Vice is, if I get 5 leads from a real estate agent and we close 4 of them, that's somebody that's giving me their quality
Yes.
stuff, and that's who I want to spend my time with. So that's just, from a tracking progress, those are what I use: CRM, accounts pyramid, on a monthly basis, updating that, and then analyzing it the very first of the year, getting rid of the agents that, really were just not giving us quality stuff, and then starting from scratch with new agents of refilling the bench. So anything you do, Jessica?
I do pretty much the same thing. I mirror that. The one thing that I would add too is that you have to be careful of agents that are constantly say, well, I have to give 3 names, and they encourage the shopping. I'm not going to put in all of my time and effort and energy in attending open houses and doing those things unless that I know that they are part of my fan club and vice versa. And so if I know that they are, be like, I got to give 3 names, or I'm telling them to shop, well, then I'm never going to take away a lead or not work a lead, but I do not give the full use of my services to grow that relationship. I'm going to go to other places where I know that we are loyal to one another.
No, that's a good way of putting the fan club. I like that.
Yep.
Perfect. Sean, go to the next slide. I think that kind of leaves it open for questions. We got 3 minutes left.
Guys,
Everybody's got
great stuff. We've got a question from Peter Denning here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. First of all, that the pyramid concept. So for someone like myself that is closing, at best 3 loans a month so far, the referrals are coming from one here, one there, one here, one there. So at this stage of the game in the book of business, is there anything you would recommend, to try to break that up a little bit, since, it's not like I have an agent that's given me 10 transactions in 1 year yet in these first couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd recommend to you, it's about finding, and then when you're getting started with this, it's literally trying to go wide, literally like just trying to find as many agents as you can, get with them, see if you like them, see if you like each other. And from that, it will start building it, if that makes sense. So right now, instead of going deep, I'd tell you to go wide if you're getting started. Is literally like every day, I'm going to go meet an agent, meet an agent, meet an agent, meet an agent, and just do that. As long as you can keep that pace up, it will eventually create itself. And you'll find the ones that you like and they like you, and it will help you figure out which ones are now giving you 4 instead of 3 last year. And it's just really leaning in on that relationship and not making it transactional.
And
Answer that.
Not to forget the listing agent, and then too, the insurance agent and the title company. Also include them in your follow-up as well, because there's a lot of loan officers that are getting out of the business, and title companies may hear of agents complaining about other LOs. And so you could be in there if you have a good relationship with them and talk to them about that as well. Hey, if you know of any agents that are looking for a preferred lender, please keep me in mind, and grow that relationship that way as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Peter, one of the greatest referrals that I would get, even if an agent or whoever couldn't refer me a client, or they were going to continue to use their loan officer, which happened a lot when I was kind of getting started and calling a lot of agents, I would say, well, who's your favorite other agent in your office that does a decent amount of business? And they would be like, Allie, and I would be like, okay, sweet. And then I would call. I mean, I read a study that shows that if you can name somebody's new and say that they referred you to that person, that your chance of closing that second deal is 50% higher than it was for the first deal. So I'm like, I don't even care about the first person. I just want a name from them, because then I can be like, hey, yeah, Patrick Stoy told me you're their favorite agent in your guys' office. They said you were really great. I was having a great conversation with Patrick. I think we're going to work together, whatever. And then I would love to get some time with you, and you name dropping somebody else, complimenting them that they know it works every time. You can always get that appointment. You can't always get the first one. You can always get that second appointment. So the chain reaction is definitely a little trick I rely on. Any other questions? Okay, guys.
Brian's got one.
What's that? Oh.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Brian?
Hello.
So a little spin on your last comments about tracking the amount of time versus actual deals you get from a realtor. So from another angle of that, like, what would your advice be if you get a decent amount of business from a brokerage that has multiple agents, but it's a super, super time suck and a lot of unexperienced agents that kind of make me go crazy? I'm trying to kind of maybe shift towards focusing more on the really good agents that I work with and pouring more into them, because this other group takes a lot of my time. So like, I don't want to break up with them necessarily, but what would you say, like, a good conversation, maybe, I guess to add to it, he's trying to get me to hire this other loan officer in town, and I don't want to do that. So part of me is thinking, just approaching him and saying, I don't know if I can give you the time you need. If you want this other guy, just have 2 of us as approved lenders. I guess just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, what I do with groups, like if I have a relationship with the whole firm, basically what I do is I'll do one of 2 things. Is I'll get in there and do a weekly, like, one of them I go every Monday at 8:15. I'm on their sales meeting where I go in there and just, hey, here's what happened with rates last week. Here's the data that came out, those kind of things, and just basically bring them knowledge and just kind of go over, hey, if anybody has anything in detail, because it at that point you've got all of them in front of you, and if anybody has anything particular, any questions, let's talk about it right now in front of everybody, and then you can reach out to me after that. So I'll do one where I do it and just remotely, and then I have one other office that I go to the office every Tuesday or every other Tuesday in front of them, do the same exact thing, and it kind of helps answer any questions right there in a group setting, and finds out the ones that are serious or not, and the ones that, and then from that we track whether or not they give us leads that close, or it's just a bunch of leads. Does that kind of give you? I do it in mass instead of individually, to make sure that my time is spread out amongst as many people as possible at once instead of individual conversations.
Yeah, my experience, and I know we're over, so sorry, but I go to their weekly meeting every week, and I pour into them. But it's more of like the amount of like phone. It's almost like, a bunch of agents that do okay. So every deal is like their paycheck. So it's just constant. It's just a lot of needy agents there. And it's just a time suck for me, where I feel like I have a lot of really good agents that I work for outside of there. But it's almost like I'm scared to, like, give it up. But I kind of feel like if I gave it up, maybe a couple months later, it would come back tenfold, because I'm focusing on these really good agents that don't call you every single day when you're in the process. That's kind of where I'm going with that question.
Jessica, do you have a thought on this? I've got one, but go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of sounds like you are already telling yourself what you need to do.
Yeah.
I think you just said it. Definitely, I always, yeah, and being scared is okay. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do every day. But if you're gonna, I would qualify them for sure. And some of those agents that are just mediocre right now, they could have a potential of becoming great. And so really weeding out who it is that you're wanting to spend that time with, and maybe becoming more relational with them, and maybe that's where, Patrick mentioned about going deeper instead of wider. And so trying to build those relationships even more, like meet them outside of the office and let them know how much you appreciate working with them, want to work with them, and maybe coach them up a little bit if you see the potential in them in becoming great. But if it's just that they've been at this level, for the past 5 or 6 years and they're not doing any more, well, then that's where you kind of need to count your losses there. But because when you count your losses, then you're only taking a step back so you can move forward.
I like that.
With other great ones.
Yeah. Or you have a junior LO that you kind of say, here's where they are, and then let them work through it. I mean, that's kind of the way to still maintain the relationship with you as a team, but have a junior LO that's really catering to those people that are your time sucks. So it's still coming through your
That's
through
good
you.
too. Yeah.
Sounds like a great job for Andrew Meister, Brian.
Yeah, we've tried a lot of that too, but yeah.
But I think that's a question you got to ask yourself. Is like, would you hand this account off to somebody else and feel good about yourself? If the answer is no, then kick them to the curb.
Right.
Yeah.
or give the opportunity to somebody that's just getting started or has a little bit of knowledge that you can at least still be involved, but it's not every call coming to you.
Right. Okay. All good stuff. Thank you both.
All right, guys. Well, we're a little bit over, but super, super helpful. Thanks for being vulnerable there, Brian, and diving in. And thanks to everybody else for being here. Jessica, Patrick, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Let's go to some open houses. Let's ask for referrals, and let's be good at follow up. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.